What's up Saab fans around the world, and welcome back to another video. So I promised you an update on the rear wheel drive build. So here we are, and now we are going to go through what I have been doing and what's the plan for the future. What obstacles do we have to fight against or solve some issues. And I will show you a lot of the parts that I have been gathering during this time. And let's just start from the front of the car and then we will work our way back. So to start off in the front, we have placed the engine inside the engine bay just to get a feel for how it looks and how it sits. So this is not the actual head that's going to be on the car, it's just a temporary placement. In the earlier videos we built the bottom end, so that is really nice, fine balanced. We also attached the welded 6-speed gearbox, and I should also introduce the car to all the new viewers watching this. So 6 months ago I bought this car. This is a 2000 Saab 9.5 Aero sedan, which was really beaten up, so I have been doing a lot of work fixing a lot of rust that was cut out in the floor of the car. There was some really bad rust spots right here, so we have welded in some new steel all the way around, and in a lot of places the underside has been fully coated with some Hagman's products, so it will last for quite a while. So we will use the B234 bottom end from the Saab 9000 and a 9.5 head on top of that. And the gearbox is a 6-speed diesel gearbox from BMW, which has been re-welded with the cage from a Saab gearbox so it fits. And this is more or less the placement. It's actually going to be a little bit adjusted to the left from here, and I have just placed it right now. So this bracket right here is going to go away, and we are going to move the battery to the trunk of the car. So we got a lot of space right here for the turbo placement. And we will make like a heat shield for the fuse box, and more of that later on. And I have just placed the flipped upside down steering rack, so it will sit something like this. It's really hard to see. Now it's just laying down. It will be placed like, I will make a cutout in the subframe so it will sit and go straight through the oil pan, and the oil pan needs to be re-welded so we get a little bit more space, because as I said, this is not the final placement just yet. I think I need to re-weld the oil pan so we get some even more space, and we will move it forward so that the engine could be a little bit more pushed in. We got a little bit of space, but I think we will manage. You can see where the steering rack should go in, and this is like where it's placed right now. So it will be a little bit of a challenge, but I don't think it will be too bad, because it sits like a little bit of an angle, and it will clear the oil filter and everything. So when we have got the placement, like the engine in the right spot, we will utilize these holes that's on the side right here. These 4 are a classic, to make like a plate and then make the new engine mount. So that is something that we will do really soon. And also on this side of the block there are a little bit of different holes you can use, but I have seen a few that I have liked where they have utilized these holes right here to make like an engine mount that goes down. Looks quite nice, and then you still have access to the oil. So that's what's going on in the front at the moment. So we will make some engine mounts so the engine will sit where it should be, and also a mount for the gearbox so it doesn't go anywhere. So here we have a little table of goodies that we will be using. So for the clutch we will reuse the 9000 flywheel. This is in really good condition, and I have got a custom setup for a clutch from Bakaxeldelar. So this is a Tenassi clutch plate, 6-plate solid clutch plate, and then we have a custom pressure plate that should be really easy to push down, because a lot of these old like Sachs clutch plates are really heavy to push down. This should be quite easy. So what I need to do here, or what we need to do custom, is that we need to make some distances so we got the proper spacing in between, because now it doesn't sit. If this would have been a 9.5 flywheel, it would have fitted just bolt on, but now we need to make it a little bit custom, but it's no big deal. It's quite easy fix, to be honest. So that is coming up very soon. While everything is gone and out, I went ahead and got a set of new brakes for the rear. So this is a 2000 Aero, so it has the, I don't know the millimeters on the stock brakes in the rear, but this is the 02 to 2010 upgrade, so this will run the 300 millimeter ventilated discs. And for the power we are aiming for something like around 600 horsepower and maybe 700, 800 newton meters of torque, since this is going to be a rear wheel drive build. And the car is going to be approved for the road with 400 horsepower on the paper. So we are going to run this Pulsar turbo. So this is a G25 660. Which, judging by the name of it, it should be able to produce around 660 horsepower in the right conditions. So this is a really nice piece. So this is a G25, as I said, so it's not the GTX series or the GT series, so you cannot compare them. This is a G25, and these are really responsive. My friend Joel are actually tuning a Saab with this actual turbo on it, and it is really responsive and makes a lot of power. So I'm really looking forward to get this on. And for the gearbox, we have the 6-speed gearbox from a BMW, and the shifters in the Saabs are really not good. Maybe for the F40 gearbox it's kind of good, but I went ahead and bought a Cooler Works short shifter. There are a lot of people running these, and it should be so much improvement. So a really nice solid short shifter in the rear wheel drive Saab will just be amazing. So this is a really nice piece. I'm really looking forward. So we will look a little bit in the car how I will place this and what my thoughts are. So So the focus with this build is to utilize and to use as much Saab as possible. So the interior, if I make it, which I hope I will, everything will be looking like stock except the shifter. I will have the full instrument panel, everything in order, all the gauges working like it should. So this is the shifter as it looks from factory. Something like this. And I will make a cutout right here, so I will still have the ignition as it should be, but there will be a hole right here. Here is where the actual panel is connecting to this bracket right here. So I will place the shifter, just make some custom mount right here so I can have it sitting right here. And as you can see, it will be more or less, I don't know if I will lower it quite a bit, something like that, so it will sit basically like the stock shifter, but with this cooler works. And of course this gear knob is interchangeable, so I can just use like a shift knob for the F40 gearbox, so I will still have a Saab shift knob, which will be really cool. And then the shifter will attach to this gear linkage. I think I can place it right there. And then it... oh, I didn't. That wasn't so good. But we will remove this for the time being. And all the wires. And this will sit on the shifter like this. And as you can see, it almost reaches in here where the shifter should go. So of course it's not 100% bolt on, but with a little bit of work you can definitely get the picture of how it's going to be at least. So this will just work out. We will need to do some more cutting of the tunnel, and the gearbox sits a little bit crooked right now, so it should be a little bit more to the right. But yeah, we will get a shifter and we will still have the right ignition. Of course the reverse is not to the right, it's to the left on this gearbox right here. But I think this will work out really nice, and we will still have the placement for the feet and everything. So, and this will sit in a really good position. I was a little bit afraid that it should be too high, but this will be so good. So now we have gone from the front of the engine to the gearbox to the shifter. And now we have come to the rear part, which is where it gets a little bit tricky. And as I said before, I want to utilize as much Saab parts as possible. So we are going to use the rear subframe from the 9.5. And I have made a cutout in it right here to place the rear differential. So this is a LSD differential from an Opel Omega, and here is the part where it gets a little bit tricky. I think we can solve everything in the rear, but the tricky part has been to be able to utilize the original, the OEM rear arms together with a bearing. So when I bought this car, I met up with a guy this summer, and I actually got a prototype wheel bearing. This comes directly from Saab's test department. So this was supposed to be on cross-wheel drive car or a four-wheel drive car, but he only found one, and I didn't have any drive shafts that could go into these splines. So I got some help from friends, and we 3D printed a model to see if it works, and that 3D model have now been manufactured as a real part. So here we have the Saab prototype bearing, and here we have mine custom made one. So this is a truly beautiful piece right here, and it's really solid, really sturdy. Like, it's a lot, or not a lot, but it is beefier than the Saab one. So this will bolt up just perfect to the rear of the arm right here. I've just laid it on top so you can get a feel for how it will sit. Then we will have the brake disc on the other side and the handbrake and everything. So this will sit like this, and the Opel Omega is constructed to have one of these caps right here. Then you bolt it down like this, and then you see this flange right here. It gets bolted into the drive shaft right here. So one of the obstacles that we could be facing is if this isn't like wide enough, but then we will solve it with just making a spacer right here to get the proper distance between them. So that will not be an issue. What's an issue right now is how to get this onto the rear subframe. So I will have to cut out a little bit of this barrel that goes down. My initial thought was to not have to touch it at all, but I will use these points right here to make like a rear, an extra subframe, or just make a framework to be able to mount this in, so it will sit in the original mounting points. And then we have to cut out a little bit more on the sides right here so that the drive shafts could attach to the center of the outside hub. And then we have come to the last part, and that is the fuel tank. So this is also from an Opel Omega, and as you can see, it has the cutout for the rear spare wheel barrel, or what you call it. So we will make this fit, and this filler cap actually goes up and sits perfect where the stock is. So I will try to get this fuel pump out and reuse the Saab original and just extend the connectors and everything, because here we have the level indicator of the fuel. So I want everything to work with like the fuel gauge inside of the car later on. And also one issue that we are facing is that the drive shaft is actually a little bit too short. So if someone in Sweden knows a good company that are like specialized in extending drive shafts and balancing them, I would like you to comment in this video, because I think that will be needed. And I think I have a contact nearby that could weld the aluminum oil pan. But as you see, we have a lot of parts and we have a lot of work to do, so it's just to get the work started and get it going. So what's really important right now is to get material. I need material to be able to start welding, to be able to start fabricate some new engine mounts, so we get the engine to sit where it should be. And I'm really excited about this one because now we have come so far. I have welded all the floor and everything, which is the boring part of this build. Now the fun begins, like fabricating stuff, getting stuff to fit inside of the car, get the shifter in place. That would be just an amazing feeling when the gearbox is mounted, when we have the engine mounts in place and we have the shifter linkage in place, and we can just select gears. Will be an amazing feeling to start with. So I will set up just minor goals to have something to look forward to, and then we will just get this build going. I will try to spend some hours to get this done, and I really want to have this running this summer. It will be super awesome, and just hope that everything works and this car will be able to slay some tires. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and when you have watched this video and you think that you can do it like this, or I know a company that could help you with this, please comment down below. Everything like tips and stuff will help a lot for this build. And the motivation is still a little bit not the best in the world. It's still really cold in Sweden, and it's getting colder, and it's a lot back and forth all the time, but I will do my best to try to get this build going, because I know that if you just spend hours, it will make progress all the time, and we will see where this ends up. So I'm really hyped to get this build going. It's like a true it's a true dream Saab build, for me at least. And I think it is for many of you watching as well. So I hope we will get this done. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, it means a lot to me. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.